Well, everybody should really stay that way from birth, but anybody can transition. The best way we found is to go cold turkey and either train barefoot on grass or with an extremely flat, light shoe, and cut down the mileage completely, focus on technique. So you'd only be doing, your first outing, you'd probably be doing 2 kilometers maximum. Then you'd have to see how your calf muscles are feeling, because they're going to get a lot more work. But that's good news. Your calf muscles start to build up, so that's the build-up period. If you go to minimalist shoes and your calf muscles hurt, that's actually very good, because you're starting to rebuild them. Once they've built up, they're there, and then they're going to, because you're not braking as much, you're going to get more of a lift, you're going to get a longer stride length, more speed from that. Well, of course there is. We spent many years, myself and my wife Heidi is a podiatrist, and we've got together, and the book Older Yet Faster is now a manual of how to do this. We've managed to distill the learning process down to one thing, and that is, am I balanced when I just landed? And you can feel that, especially without shoes, and that's why I do sessions on the grass with people. You can actually feel, you get a good feedback from your feet as to was my landing correct or not. It is extremely simple, and we've basically described it in 6 very short lessons, one after the other, which will take, most people should be able to go through the lessons in about 20-30 minutes, just on their own, reading the book, listening to the audio, whatever. And then they've got a program for the next year for changing their technique, and for tricks that they can do on the run, cues if you were, that will help them to get themselves rebalanced when they go out of form. So when they go away from a session, they are really an autonomous body. They can self-correct as much as possible when they're running.
Now you get fast again. I used to be a little bit quick, but I'm
Yep,
old.
you used to be very quick. You certainly can, certainly can. And the good thing about, not that you're fat at all, but the good thing about changing your technique and learning to land near vertically aligned is that you use a lot more muscle than you did before. So that muscle burns a lot more oxygen, and well after you finish running, perhaps 24 hours or even longer afterwards, you burn fat, you lose fat. You may actually put on weight temporarily because your muscles will be heavier than the fat, but you'll soon start to trim up. If you don't build up in the glutes and the hamstrings and the calf muscles, then you haven't quite got your technique right. Obviously that depends on the person, depends how weak they are. If they've been wearing orthotics for maybe a decade or even more, it could take up to 2 years to fully transition, to build the strength, to be able to support the good technique. Most people would be 6 months to 12 months for the calf muscles to build up. You just have to do a short run at first, see how the calf muscles are going. If they're sore, you take a rest, you go for a walk or a swim. You have at least a day off, sometimes 2 days, and you just have to be patient, because the calf muscles are building up because you haven't used them much before. You're using them a lot more now, but they are your powerhouse together with your glutes. So first of all, your calf muscles will build up and your tendons will become strong, your feet will become stronger, and then your glutes will start to build up. And all the time you'll be building up your core and your back muscles as well. I found out this with one particular runner, Neil Berry, who was already running 30 minutes for 10 kilometers, which is a really good time. And his coach, who's also my coach, decided that 5 weeks out from a race was an okay time span for doing a technique session. But in his next race, 5 weeks later, I only obviously changed him a little bit, but his calf muscles after 5 kilometers, he said felt like they were exploding. So you have to give the process, your body, time to rebuild, even if you're making a very small change. We haven't found anybody yet who we couldn't change to running as they should, better running. Yeah. No, actually that's one thing we put in the book. I am different. No, you're not. If you run well, you will get a good runner's body for running well. I mean, obviously everybody has slight differences, but all dogs basically run the same, all horses run the same, all humans should really run the same. And so there is really only one very efficient technique, but the basic idea of the physics of it is the same for everybody. Some people will be able to train better, some people will be slightly stronger in certain areas, etc. But everybody has the chance to run fast and have very little risk of injury because they run efficiently.
But there's a school of podiatrists out there and physios and chiropractors and people that say, if you run barefoot, then I'm going to have you as my client forever. Are you going to keep me in business?
Yes.
What's your comment about that?
Well, the opposite is true. Absolute opposite. Podiatrists, as far as I know, a podiatrist came to do a running session with him, and he was still being taught, this was last year, that he should do a heel strike. That's completely unnatural and damaging. A heel strike is always an overstride. If they're being taught that at college, well, you know, that's what they're going to tell their clients. They really should follow up and see how their clients are getting on after 6 months, after a year, after Heidi does, and there is no problem. She gets rid of people's orthotics, strengthens their feet, and then gets them into good technique, usually with me, and they are good for life after that. Well, I used to be crippled. I was asked at 45 whether I wanted a pensioners discount because I was hobbling around with a really serious runner's knee. And I went to the doctor because I thought I had a hernia, but it was actually hip flexor pain. And so I've had a whole range of these things, and Heidi had 20 odd years of pain and injury. Every time she got towards 4 minutes a K, she broke down. And now she's running beautifully and no pains at all. So we think we have the evidence. Yes, I haven't been training a great deal over the last couple of years. I've had a bit of medical work done and various other things. So I've just been doing light training, about 25-30 kilometers is the longest. So mostly 5Ks, which is 3K of a warm-up and 2K of a run. I think last year, just on about 45 kilometers a week, I managed to hit the world record pace for the 3 kilometers just in training. I think that most of the records between 1,500 meters and the 10,000 meters are quite attainable for me. I just need to get back into training, and once the book is finished, which it almost is, then there's lots of time for that. Yeah, there is, but I think you can look at anybody and see how they're running, and if they're running really well, then their strength will build around that, not the other way around. You can be as strong as an ox, and I get customers who come to me all the time with a six-pack. They've really got strong core, and as soon as they start running, they stick their leg in front of them and they collapse at the waist. It's just physics. So it's the other way around. If you learn good technique, your body will build around that. You'll become strong, you'll become good at it. The better you are at it, the more you can do it. And then you can see how people are going to perform and improve just by the way they run. Yeah.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you very much.